Alright, so as promised, this weekend's video is going to be going over how to identify potential false signals on the SMT indicator, some things that I look at prior to entering an alert. Even if the alert is present, I still like to assess the situation. I like to see, what the market's doing, what my surroundings are, overhead supports and resistance, the whole good thing. So I'm going to go through that, and the way that I want to do it to make this video as beneficial as possible and to provide you guys the best education and kind of intro on how to use this indicator is I'm going to go through every single day this week, candle by candle, and I'll show you kind of where you could see a potential false indication and then how you'd be able to avoid that. So I typically will draw my support and resistances, my supply and demand zones. For the purpose of this video, just to simplify things, I'm going to omit supply and demand zones. I'm only going to focus on key levels and fib levels, and we can just use those alone to see when we could have a potential reversal. So right away, you're going to see that I have my SMT indicator. I have the fibs that I have manually plotted, and I have plenty of videos on those. It takes a few minutes to do. They're super helpful. I have my VWAP, which I like to keep on there, and my MACD on the bottom here. And then I have this nice little indicator that someone told me about called BB levels. It's called BB indicator, and it gives you all the key levels that I like to use. So let's go ahead and get started with the price action. We are on the SPY 5-minute chart. So here we are at open. I don't think we're at open yet. We'll just go through pre-market. Alright, so we get the first candle. We're just watching. Okay, here we are. So we get an SMT alert. So once we get that alert, it's alert to the buy side, we need to kind of quickly look at what's happening, right? So number one, we're seeing this green MACD crossover. We're seeing an increase in volume on that alert, right? So we got that green candle. We're seeing an increase in volume. We're also seeing that all the EMAs are below us. That's providing us a nice little support or bounce pad if we push to the downside. And the prior candle, which is always important to look at, was a bullish engulfing candle. Super good, thing to look at there. So you could enter calls here if you wanted to take it to the daily high. If you want to just enter calls and your first target could just be high of day, which is a great target. You can hop in some scalps. So you would enter this trade. And there you go, right? So you can use a close below VWAP, the 9 EMA, 21 EMA, depends on where those are at and what you want to use, your risk tolerance, but that would have been a nice play. You can use the indicator to make some money. That play, if you took 0 DTE contracts, would have made the entire 20 bucks back in just one play. So really cool. Let's go ahead and continue. Let's go through that price action. Okay, that's on one trade. So this really keeps you from over trading because you're just waiting for that alert, and then you're going to check if that alert is something that you like. Alright, we're just going back and forth, consolidating, making a nice uptrend here. There you go. Okay, so you get this SMT alert, so you get this downside alert. Now you're going to take a look, what's going on. So you see this crossover, you see this bearish MACD, you see this increasing volume profile on the sell-off, which I love to see. You can see we're gradually rising on volume there. We have the bearish 921 EMA crossover. We even have this fib level up here that we kind of consolidated in a bear flag on before we push down. And we have a nice little area to drop here, right? So I would you can enter puts right here. Right away you can see that this fib level down here has been a great support. You can see that we wicked off of here twice before making a huge upside move. So that would be your first target, right? You can enter puts and then take your profits right there. So you hop in, you can use this close above this 9 EMA as your stop. And there you go. There's your profit. So nice. Two great trades that day on Monday. So let's go ahead and continue to the next day. We don't care about pre-market signals, but hey, if you're trading futures, you see this signal, you could have taken that and gotten some profit there. So let's go ahead and let it run until market open for Tuesday, and we'll see what we get. Oh Lord, what's happening here? Looks like a pretty volatile day. Nice gap down there. Oops, jumped the gun. Alright, so we're just watching and wait for that candle to close. I guess it closes there. So you see this huge bearish engulfing candle. You get this alert, whether it's on your phone or on your desktop, so you check out what's going on. You see this huge bearish engulfing candle. You see this massive increase in volume, rising volume profile, bearish MACD crossover. We kind of blew through multiple fib levels, the VWAP, 200 EMA. I mean, this is just a huge downside move. So what do? You enter puts here. You could look at, this next fib level as your target. If you want to be conservative, you don't even want to, risk going all the way down to this next fib level. You could, there's a couple potential supports that you can see here, right? So you can see that we had some support right there. You could scalp that tiny little move down there, and then you could even, if you wanted to try this candle bottom or this candle wick right there, you could try that. But with a move this heavy, you could absolutely, try to get to that next fib level. So you enter puts there. Boom, look at that. Beautiful. Went through all those targets and even made a new daily low. So again, great signal. Look at that. Here we go. Buy signal, right? So we get a buy signal right here. We assess situation again. Do we like what we see? We see that we had this nice bullish engulfing candle. We see that now the profile, the volume profile on this, it's not a significant increase in volume from the prior candle, but we still do have a good amount of volume. We still have that green MACD. We have this intraday uptrend that we had from this reversal. So it's worth hopping in. There's two things you could do here. If you're very conservative, you could just take your profits at the next fib level, or you could even take this all the way to VWAP if you're confident in the move. Just depends on your risk tolerance, and then our stop can be a close below the 21 EMA on this one. So we hop in our calls, and look, boom, look at that. That's 4 out of 4 on these alerts this week. A lot of money can be made here, guys. So let's go ahead and see what else we get. So as you can see, we're not getting any false indications. And I like what I see when I hop in those plays, right? So those, if the surrounding supports and resistances favor that move, then we hop in. We take the risk. All right. Here we go. So this is Wednesday. Here we go. Right. Now, this is where you need to start looking for a potential false signal. I love this one, right? So I do get the signal, but right away I have to think, what is above, what's below us, what's going on here? So number one, you can see that we're chopping, right? So from market open all the way up until this candle, we've just been consolidating in this range, right? So it's choppy price movement, a lot of move up, move down, move up, move down, move up, right? So we're careful. Second thing, you look at we could not break this 200 EMA. We had a huge rejection off the 200 EMA at 950 that same day. Again, on this candle, we tried and we failed to go through it. So what does that say? You could enter calls here off this signal, but the risk is not worth the potential reward because we're right here. We can't break through this really strong resistance. Don't risk those calls. And, we have a third rejection, which is more likely than not given the prior price actions reaction. The way that price reacted to this resistance. So if I see something like this, we do have an increase in volume. We have a bullish engulfing candle. I like this setup, but unless we can close above the 200 EMA on the next candle, it's not worth the risk. So I would not enter on this. This is another potential false signal situation. As you can see, honestly, it's not a surprise. What happened when we rejected here? Massive move down. We rejected two more times, massive move down. So would not have taken that signal. Here we go. So let's look at this signal. Come on. Yeah, here we go. So we look at this signal. Now, we can see we have a bullish engulfing candle, increase in volume, green MACD, EMA crossover. Everything looks good. Blew through two fib levels and closed above both of them. I like this setup. And the good thing is, this 200 EMA in the previous two run-ups has kind of acted like a magnet, right? Every time we approach that 200 EMA, we shot to it. We hit that 200 EMA, and then we rejected. So now, it's in our favor to enter calls here and look to get that 200 EMA again, right? So we hop in that call, and it works out for us, and we take our profits right there. So that's a way you can kind of, avoid these false signals if you are able to just kind of make a judgment call. All this stuff is designed, or is talked about in my guide as well. So now another thing we need to remember is even doing all the proper things, it's still around like a 78 to 80% win rate, right? You're still 1 out of 5 times it's just going to happen. The market is not going to go in your favor. it's just impossible to have a 100% win rate because that's just the nature of the markets, right? So in this situation, I actually really like this setup, and I would have 100% taken this, right? We had a huge rejection of Hive Day here. We had a massive sell-off. We had a nice increase in volume on this close below VWAP. We had a bearish EMA crossover. We had the 200 EMA and VWAP above us as resistance. Everything was looking good, and we even had this nice candle where we tried to make a push to the upside, and the sellers completely pushed it back down. So I would have entered here. The next support level down is this fib level. You could have scalped it to that fib level, but ultimately, we're looking to get a little bit more off this move, but it does reverse on the next candle. So that's just a loss. It happens. Again, you want to wait until the candle closes, because if the conditions disappear prior to candle close, the indication will not stay there. All right, that covers Wednesday. Let's go to Thursday. Okay, let's see what we have here. Look at this. All right, we got our buy signal. Okay, there we go. Buy signal here. So what do we see here? We see, again, increasing volume profile on this run-up. We have a green MACD. We have our crossover. We have VWAP to the downside here. We are above several fib levels. We have an intraday uptrend of just like, let's see, that's 7 candles and 6 of them are green. So we take our chances here. We like this setup. We enter calls, right? I don't see anything that could potentially, cause an issue with calls here. So if you enter here, you could just scalp it right away to the next fib level if you're super risk averse. The next target could be just the high of this candle, right? This gives you a nice 411.11 to 411.35. It's like a 20-cent move on SPY. So we enter calls there, and we can make our it hit the target, right? So it shot up to the previous Hive Day and then closed right there. So we do hit the target. You could use like a close below the 9 EMA here as your potential stop loss. But look at that. We just continue up for a good amount past the entry. So that was a good one. This was one of the craziest fake outs I've seen in a long time on the intraday chart. All right, here we go. I think this was the big boy. So you can see here that we had this little intraday bear flag. We had this huge bearish engulfing candle, increasing bearish volume profile, bearish MACD. Everything looked great, right? And we had a nice, we had room to fall here, right? So we had this, we don't have any fib levels here all the way until down here, 411.18. You can enter puts. Excuse me, put that as your first target, or if you're really confident in this move, you want a little bit more risk involved, you could take this all the way to VWAP. You can have a close above the 9 EMA as your stop loss. So you enter puts here. Look at that, looks all the way down. This is where I took my profits once we hit VWAP here. But honestly, with the strength of this move, it was given to us, right? We see this huge increase in volume. We quadrupled in volume on this next candle, so that was a telltale sign that selling pressure was beginning. And look at this. This just continued to dump all day off this signal. I mean, there were people who took this signal and made 300-400% on puts. I mean, that was the best one that I've seen in a long time. So let's go ahead and go to Friday. So you see, guys, it's hitting pretty well. We only had so far one false signal and then one trade that didn't work out, and then we had about 4 or 5 that were pretty good. Especially that last one could have, made up for all those potential losses in the past. So this is Friday. Let's go ahead and take it a little bit slower here. All right, so first sell signal we get here, and I think this is actually the only signal we got on here. So there, so there's a sell signal. So right here, we got the sell signal, and this is where I would have other things. I'd have my zones, I would have levels, things like that. But essentially, you see this increasing profile on this dump. You see that we have bearish candles all the way through. We have a red MACD. We have all this stuff looks good. You can hop in puts there, and look at that. That next candle was a nice fat candle. You could have taken your profits at close of that candle. Nice play right there. Okay. And I think we had a nice little run up at the end of the day here. Yep. So I don't think there was a signal there. But anyway, so that's the entire week. So I wanted to walk you guys through that. You can see how we were able to assess a false signal. Sometimes you get stopped out anyway, but most of the time this has been great for me. It alerts me when something's going on. I take a look. If I like what I'm seeing, I hop in position, and most of the time it works out. So hope you guys enjoyed this video.